we're gonna use this one. So now there should be sound. Okay. So again, sorry everyone. So welcome to the Monday meetup. We will check the pairs which I'm looking for. What is my bias? We will look to the few past trades where I want to mention something quite important and which I think is. So is the sound working now?
We're gonna
Yeah, okay. Right, so yeah, so let's get into it, right? So right now we are looking to the dollar index, right? I go to the weekly, right? As we can see how the candles are closing. I've been looking at this quite from closer. It's still closing below, right? And anyway, as we have it closed like this, right? In my opinion, we still can go somehow lower. However, now we have opened with the gap, a little bit gap, right? And now price going higher, right? So if you look at it this way, we can see here is this fair value gap, right? And above it is this weekly range and also this big candle range, right? This 4 hours range, right? So what I'm going to look for right now in here is for the price to move higher above these levels. And if I get a setup in here, right, then model number one to this 50%, right, or even this weekly 50% would be something which makes sense for me, right? So at the dollar index, I'm not looking for the long right now. However, I think it can play out, right? Because also we are now closing above this gap, right? Obviously depends how this 4 hour candle will close. So once we close higher, I think that there is a room open for this push higher, right? Which means on the as a short term, right, to fill this opening gap and this weekly fair value gap, right? So as usually, I should have the annotations in here, right? So it should be FVG, right? FVG and weekly CLS range, right, in here, right? So the short term we could move higher, right? And I think it could play if we get close in here and they maybe pull back during the New York, right? So let's check how the these are looking, right? So we can see actually the Asia has taken this low, right? Starts to move higher. Now here we have London in here, right? So that's clearly the liquidity was taken in here, right? During the Asia already, so it doesn't has to happen during the London, right? And now we have a push higher, right? And then clearly, if the New York will give a nice pullback into some 1 hour level, right? Then continuation higher makes sense to me, right? Not sure if I will trade it at this moment. It will depends how it will be looking on the New York Open, right? So right now let's look to this. This is a euro, right? So again, we can see uh, last week candle. Uh, mm, Last week candle closing above the previous week, right? So the liquidity is still higher, right? We still should be bullish in here, right? Now I'm marking out this weekly CLS, right? Which is like the whole previous week candle, right? And now we have the FVG in here, right? The gap between these two, right? Between this candle and this candle, right? So here we have this fair value gap, right? Liquidity is higher up here, right? So it's clearly if we get a push down, right, and we get the setup on the 4 hours in here, right, then push higher is nicely in a play, right? So that's my main goal for this week, right? Let's go down to the daily, right? We can see that we have this quite bigger candle in here, right? Also, so in my opinion, it's clearly going lower, right? We have also this beautiful two equal highs in here, which we will see on the 4 hours, right? You see in here these two, right? So they will be easily attacked, right? This is basically, if you're watching what we're doing in here, this is basically not how the price action, how the reversal looks like, right? Reversal looks mostly with the higher volatility on the top, right, and then sharp reversal, right? Not like this, that the price just come and slowly do something like that, right? So in my opinion, we will still see a manipulation higher, right? And it actually makes sense because if you put it in the context with the weekly, right? So we can have a uh, first week accumulation, right? Now we can have a manipulation, right? And then it's going to be distribution, right? If that should be a reversal, that should be manipulation above higher, right? Above here, right? So in my opinion, that's not what is in a play, right? So right now we're going lower below this weekly CLS, right? And below this daily low, right? So that's the targets, right? I would love to see, to be more confident to these highs of this big candle, right? Let me make it yellow, right? To have this manipulation a little bit bigger, right? Anyway, it's maybe not gonna play, right? I think that the price mostly going for these lows in here, right? To take these lows, right? So I see a potential short in here also, right? On the M15, we can see again, right? The Asia has taken this high, right? And started to move lower, right? London then opened, take the 1 hour candle, liquidity in here, right? And continues lower, right? So I do not think that the New York will make a reversal out of nowhere, right? New York will definitely reach this low or maybe this session low, or maybe we're going lower here, right? So in my opinion, the New York will give us a potential for the short, right? Something like this, you know, and then short, right? So in my opinion, that's a potential for short in here if the New York will give a nice setup in here, right? And but the full plan, right, for me for this week is this weekly range, right? Manipulation down here, right? 4 hour setup as you know it, right? Bigger candle, right? Then manipulate that, closing inside, model number one, right? Playing on 4 hours. Then it becomes, once this happened on the 4 hours, it actually became an order block and gives you a more confidence with trading this, right? So that's what I'm looking for on the euro. Pound is slightly different actually than these pairs, right? Let me show you on the weekly, because we had the strong push up, right? Then it was manipulated and price started to close inside, right? So on the weekly, actually, what's happening in here, it's actually started to play already last week, right? You see, there was already this playing, right? So the model number one already played last week. That was my short in here last week, which we did. This, right? This was this weekly range, model number one down here, right? That was the model number one. So it already played, right? Right now, if we want to short it again, we should wait for the model number two, right? You know what to do, right? So in my case, in here, I would only wait for that model number two, right? But still, if I go lower time frame, let me show you something. And okay, this is that weekly, right? If I go lower time frame and I put my dealing range, right? Look, we still didn't reach this transition candle, this one, right? The candle that took us from the discount to the premium. And with this transition candle, this candle is giving us a nice equal lows, right? So in my opinion, we will dip lower before we get this pullback for the model number two, because I think they are setting up these two highs in here as a trap, right? So they need to create a liquidity cluster in here, right? right in here, there will be stop losses. But when most stop losses will occur in here? Once this breaks out, right? Because for many people this will be breakout, right? And they will short. How they will short it? Well, like idiots, they will do this, right? They will short it here and they will put stop loss in here, right? And maybe they will be right, but that's when the market makers will basically take it there, right? Because they want this liquidity, which they will provide by doing this, right? So they need to take the price down right now, right? So what we going to do, what we can do in here, right? We don't know yet where the low will be created, right? So once that low is created in here, when those people are trapped, maybe it can be somewhere on this fair value gap, right? Then we place this, right? And then we will be looking for this, right? Here they will short, here they will put stop loss, right? Market will go there, right? Maybe we can play long up, and then there will come a bigger short, right? After those who were actually right in here but been selling bottom, and once they are stopped out, right, then we want to join that, right? The question is what the dollar will be doing, right? So for now, I think that these two lows are in the play, right? Price going lower. It's still offering some nice move, right? It's like 60 pips, right? So let's go 15 minutes. Let's see the sessions, right? So we can see that Asia actually didn't take anything, right? Here was this taken, it was Sunday, right? Since the Monday it wasn't high taken, right? In that case, I think that you can see also this London is not that big as on the euro, right? So in my opinion, we can be targeting these lows, but only if we get that pullback, and that pullback most likely will be above the London high, right? Somewhere above the London high, right? And then in the right time, we need to be looking for the change in order flow on the M15, and then we can be targeting this, right? Because it's on the bigger scale where I think we're going for these two lows, right? So we want to be looking for that, right? But again, what I think is, this is like for the intraday play, right? It's not something where I want to put too much focus from my side, but I think once these two lows, right, are broken in here, then this move is high likely to happen, right? Then if the dollar index will do what I think it can do, maybe we can go lower, right? Maybe not, right? Maybe it can still continue higher, but it's not my problem. This is what I want to be interested, right? In this move, right? Obviously, the CLS ranges, right, is going to be set up, some of them, right? Because what's actually happening right now? Look, here we have the Monday open, right? So there will be probably some Monday range, right? So we will play simply the Monday range, right? But it's too much upfront, right? At this stage, this can happen, right? And I'm not going to trade this session because it's already, the move started, right? You don't want to sell this low, right? After the Asia was trending, right? And so we'll be waiting for if the New York will give me like a nice setup for this short, right? Okay, so that's here. Now we have USD CAD. I like this one quite. I have it in my watch list. Still, I want to show you something, right? Look, we have this 3 months CLS range, right? I hope everyone see it right now, right? Because this is a grow of our strategy, right? We have big candle digging into the liquidity, next one manipulated, closing inside, and then we going down, right? Where the price should come is these two lows, right? These two lows. Basically this low, right? So we are on the move down here. Now we have 3 months. Let's drop to the weekly and let's see if there was any setups, right? So once on the weekly we have changed order flow, which was actually this up candle and then this down candle closed below, right? So it has created this bearish order block. In other words, change in order flow, right? Red. Now we have one weekly range, right? Manipulated, price closed inside, bearish, right? And we could be shorting, targeting this low again, right? Of course, there was a possibility to target this if you play this 3 months range, right? If you have the nerves to hold it like that, right? And then obviously all of this is possible to scale down, right? And to trade it on the lower time frame, right? Then we have another range in here, right? There wasn't a that clear close inside, right? But when I was looking at it on the lower time frame, right, we had basically this manipulation in here of these two equal highs into this fair value gap, right? And then when the price closed inside in here, right, then it was possible to short it and target again this low, right? So you see how nicely it goes when you get a higher time frame CLS range, right? So here was actually the model number 1, then model number 2, right? Here was only model number 1. It didn't give a chance for the model number 2 because it's in a trend, right? And now we are here, right? We have again another weekly range, manipulated, price closed inside, right? And then started to move lower, right? It's almost in there. And remember, we should be targeting this 3 months CLS, right? It's giving us a bias. We think that this will be completed, right? And now on the lower time frame, we have this playing out, right? I actually tried to trade it here. That's this weekly range, right? So I have entered it in here, right? And look, right? But I have closed somewhere in here, right? Because it was basically my TP1, and now price, in my opinion, is giving chance for the model number 2, right? So look, we are on the weekly. This has playing. Let's go to 4 hours, right? On the 4 hours, that was this my entry, right? Model number 1. Now from here, right? You're actually measuring with the fib. And here was already model number 2, right? So model number 2 is already playing, right? Now we are getting this pullback, and I think we will go above this high, right? Because look what is again in here. Let me take you back to the weekly, right? And look, we have again another weekly range, right? So in my opinion, we will reach these highs, right? We need to be watching on the 4 hours. And above here, I'm going to put the alarm, right? And above here, we will be looking for what? For the 4 hours candle, right? Manipulated, created order block, right? Close inside, entry, model number 1, definitely taking some partial. Maybe it gives model number 2, maybe not. Straight down or even lower, right? So this is, in my opinion, what could happen on the USD CAD, right? What about crypto market? Let's go to it, but first I want to show you something else, and it's about these here, right? The relationship of this Asian session, London session, and the New York session, right? I realized that, and I was doing this mistake also, that we often know one setup. We know that there is an Asian session, right, which is then manipulated during the London, right, and then we have expansion in the New York, right, like clearly accumulation, manipulation, distribution, and we always waiting for the manipulation of this Asian session, right, which actually doesn't happen often, right? If you've been waiting for that today, you see it would not happen, right? Here, it has happened clearly. You have the Asian session manipulated during the London, right, then slightly expanded in here, right? But today, what has happened? Look, Asian session, let me actually take it here, right? You have Asian session in here, right? But Asian session already took highs, right? So now you don't need to wait for that, right? The move has already started. They grabbed the liquidity, right? So the train is going and it's possible to join, right? So now I have drawn a few things over the weekend. Let me show you. Here's the gold, but where I have this, my drawings, maybe 1 hour. Here, look. And no worries, I will post this in the Discord, right? So we have Asia, and when the Asia already grabbed the liquidity, right, and manipulates some 1 hour candle inside of it, right, takes this liquidity, right, and start to move lower, London then doesn't have to go for this what we're looking for, right? What it only does is that it takes a 1 hour candle and it continues lower, right? That's actually what's happening right now on the euro. Just look at it by yourself, right? So that's the one possibility. So you don't need to wait for that, right? There's actually 4 ways how is this happening, right? Let me show you another one. Here. This is the classic, right? The classic one which we know, right? We have the Asian session consolidating, expansion, right, to the manipulation, right, manipulating 1 hour, right, start to create an order block in here, change in order flow, right, start to close inside, right, and then it's dropping lower, right, and then targeting only this range low, right, it's actually amazing trade which is possible to scalp on the 1 minute. I had this trade on the pound last week. Let me show you. You have Asian session, right? Then you have manipulation during the London, taking old highs, also the Asia, right? And then you have expansion during the New York, right? And you just targeting the Asian session low, right? This is easy setups, right? Why I'm explaining this when we trading the CLS strategy? Because the CLS strategy is giving us the framework, but if you don't need to trade intraday, you don't need all of these sessions, these things. But if you add this into your framework, right, with the CLS ranges, because right now you will have, for example, CLS range in here, right, something like that. And then when you put this confluence with the Asian session, right, and then these continuations, it's good for this day trading, right? So this is the another option, and then we have the another one. Here, continuation, right? We know this, Asian session, manipulation, right? Price starts to move. And then how to join the New York, right? Again, you wait, right? And when the New York manipulates 1 hour highs, right, into some key level, here you want to have a fair value gap, right? Or order block, right? Manipulates, close inside, right? If it's going to be 1 hour, you need to look for the change in order flow under 5 minutes. It's day trading, right? And then you expanding lower, right? Also, this needs to be at the time, right? The best times, it's obviously not exactly on the time. Best time here is 10 a.m. set, right? Central European time, right? Here, this one will be at 2 p.m. So 14, 15:30, right? Here, right? It's like a plus minus 30 minutes up and down, right? So it's like a 9:30 to 10:30, right? Here it's a 2 o'clock to 15:30. It's not fixed. It can be changed, right? Obviously, it doesn't have to happen here, but can happen, you know, a little bit earlier, a little bit here and there, right? So this is the continuation. This is how to trade London continuation, right? That's what I'm talking about on the pound right now, right? You see, sorry, euro. That's obviously almost same, right? You have Asian session taking these highs, right? Look, now on the 1 hour, London has just opened, did this run up in here, take these highs, 1 hour candle high, right, and continues lower. It doesn't have to go higher to take this Asian session again, right, to drop, right, because it already happened during the Asia. That's something what many people is missing, right? So right now what? Right now the price is dropping, right? So you have Asian session, you have London session, it's going lower, and you still have this low, right, and potentially this low to be reached, right? So you still have a room. So if the New York will opens and gives you some pullback above some 1 hour candle, which will be probably above here, and here will be most likely a fair value gap, right? You still have a chance to join this, right? These trades, these intraday trades, it should be like a fucking 20 pips, right? You see 1 hour, it's a 1 hour. So we have here, we have 1 hour fair value gap in here, right? Here is a 1 hour candle high, right? Liquidity potential, right? So if the price retraces in here and we get our setup, if this is 1 hour level, we need to be looking on the 5 minutes, right? Changing order flow and the continuation, right? So that's a potential setup for today, right? Most likely it can happen in here, right? This. Look how they left two equal highs, right? See? So, and the last option is, which I wanted to explain, would be this one, right? If you have a Asian session, right, trending, London trending, right, and then a New York session also trending, and then hitting the high time frame key level, and you get change in order flow, then you can get the drop all the way down below this and this low, right? Like a really strong reversal, right? Because all of this is like a kind of a big accumulation, right? Then they manipulate and immediately distribute, right? But no worries, I will post this in the Telegram, and you can ask then some Discord group, and you can ask the questions about it. Now let's look to the crypto. Here's the USDT. You know, I'm using the USDT as my main driver, right? Same as someone using, actually, as I'm using the dollar index for the forex, right? So USDT right now is around this trend line, right? Why I have this trend line? Not because I want to trade from here, right? I still think that we can reach this level, which is this order block, right? Which taken these highs, right? And from here, it might can drop lower or even go higher, right? And then drop lower, right? We will definitely drop lower in here, in my opinion, because that will take Bitcoin to 120, 30, something like that. In my opinion, these highs are still in the play, right? The question is if the summer will be same like it was usually, right? So when the Bitcoin and all the cryptos get hits and get this pullback, right? So that's what I'm watching in here. So currently, nothing really what tells me what's gonna happen in here, right? Let's check Bitcoin, right? On the higher time frame, again, it's still same, right? So we have this candle closing above all of these, right? Yes, it was kind of rejected close below, but it's still strong bullish close above this, which is a monthly order block, right? So this monthly order block has been created, right? Inside of this monthly order block is this fair value gap weekly, right? So price traded inside of it. Now we have strong engulfing candle, right? Now we have another week closed above, right? And look, we have these two equal highs, right? We have this candle closing like that, right? So this is where is liquidity in my opinion right now. Last week I have taken short in here, right? Because we had this daily candle, right? Then another candle manipulated, right? It was on the Thursday, and I've been targeting this 50% in here, right? Bottle number one, right? On daily 1 hour setup, right? Let me remove these ranges. Sorry, here, right? 1 hour setup. Let me actually show you in the journal, right? So this was it. Up candle, right? Manipulation, right? And in here I was targeting this 50%, right? Then we had, oh, amazing, drawing to finally appeared. Then we had this up candle, we closed below it, right? So it's a sign of the change in order flow. Again, targeting still this 50%, right? And then, okay, I don't have the fucking funny. I didn't post it how it played in here. Okay, it's here actually. All right, so here was this entry, right? M15 confirmation, and then beautifully play out, right, exactly into the 50%, right? Now look, why it's important to get out on the 50%, right? Because even if it looks bullish to me, look, here is a 50%. Here is where I closed my last position, right? So here was a partial 1, partial 2, partial 3, right? Exited at the 50%. Now let's look on the chart, right? Where it is, right? Look, if I was greedy and was thinking it will go much lower, here was the exit, right? If I was greedy and I was targeting lower, right? Actually, the entry was here. Was this 1 hour, right? Here. Here was this change in order flow, right? If I was targeting just a little bit lower because I want to be cool, then I would be now stressed, right? I would be here, back on my entry, right? Same trade was on the Ethereum, right? Again in here, beautiful, beautiful daily CLS, right? Candle bigger than other ones, right? Look how it makes sense, right? Quite tight consolidation, manipulation, right? And then pullback, right? So now, in this stage, right, look how the strategy is actually resilient into not being completely right about the market context, right? Let me show you something, right? You can have this as an accumulation, right? Now you have manipulation and you sell it, right, as a distribution. If it is really distribution, most likely we would go lower, right? But what if, and here, as I took the profit on the 50% in here, I am out and I was right. But what if I was wrong, and this is not an accumulation, but it's, I mean, okay, it is an accumulation, right? And then it could be a breakout, retest, and continuation, right? And still, I made money, right? Even when I could be possibly wrong about the context, right? So what is important in here, and it was this trade, right? So look. Oh, sorry, now I'm on the Solana here, BT's Ethereum, right? So I had this big candle in here, right? Manipulated into a key level, closing inside, right? And targeting 50%, right? Here is the entry, last up candles, right? Then candles close below it, right? I put my stop loss above here because it should be safe in here, and then price targeting 50%, right? And that's where I have get out, right? I was out in here, which is here, right? if I didn't get out here, now the price is going here, right? And I would be frustrated. Same with the Solana, right? It was actually this daily range in here. This one, right? We have the daily range, manipulation, take this high, right? Also there was a level, right? And look, it was daily. Here's the weekly, right? So if I was thinking like, okay, let's target this weekly because it's going to take it, right? Then I said, no, I will be targeting just this one, right? So how did it play on the Solana? Right, so here was it. This is that weekly range. Weekly low was here. Then I changed that and I adjusted the target actually only into here, which is that daily range low, right? Took some partials on the way down, right? And that was here, right? This low. Look exactly, right? This low. See this low. Not this one, because it's some random low, but this is a daily low. Daily low. Daily low. See, if my target was here, I would be maybe waiting for the drop, right, and would be frustrated. Now I'm perfectly out, right? So that is actually everything what I would wanted to say today. And again, I want to remind you, focus on the one thing, right? I said to myself, I will be skipping the Mondays. I will be focusing on the model number one only, right? Daily, 4 hours, weekly ranges. I got 100% winning ratio after 1 week, right? I made that around a 4K on the prop account, so it's going to be something like a 3.7 payout, right? I made quite good money on my personal accounts. I've been trading just on the Tuesday, was waiting for the situation entered, right? Wednesday, I have exited the Forex trades. Thursday, during the Hyro stream, I entered these 3 trades. They've been playing out overnight, right? So I basically spent by the trading few hours, right? And then I had the time to teach you every day for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, right, for the whole week, right? Not having too much pairs, don't need to catch everything, right? So for the pound, we have the option for this. If it's not gonna play, no worries. We'll be waiting for this, right? Okay, my friends, I will close it in here. And I wish you happy start of the